Hi, my name's Philip Dubbo, and I'm here today to talk to you about template-based development of e-learning content and the efficiencies that that brings you. So, basically, I think we've all here worked in e-learning for quite some time, and we've seen some of the basic problems that you run into while working with e-learning content, of having reuse, of having efficient development, and ways to reuse not just the content, but the functionalities that you've developed over time. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So, what you will learn in this session is basically the benefits of separating content from presentation. One of the key concepts that we really need to concentrate on e-learning in the upcoming future, not just to make our content more efficient to develop, but also to ensure that it lasts over time. What are the benefits of using templates to achieve this? And why does this lead to efficiency and reuse for future? Then afterwards, we'll have a little discussion about thoughts on the subject. What is a template-based system? A template-based system is basically a series of reusable templates. They're functionalities that are built out to parse content, specific types of pages, specific types of functions, things like multiple choice questions, things like just simple text-based pages, things like video and animations. Each type of template is built to handle this specific type of content in the most efficient means possible. Templates are dynamically fed by separating the content, again, from the design. Really key concept here. And what we mean by that is creating an XML file or some other data format that you're able to pass the data into the presentation layer so that they are separate and the data can outlive whatever the current presentation model is, be it Flash, which many people say is dying, HTML5, which in a few years many people will say is dying, and will work with HTML6 and whatever comes in the future. These are powered by parsing engines. They will be written in HTML5, in Flash, in any of these languages to take that content and parse it to your desired output. What are the benefits of this? Well, it's pretty obvious when you're used to developing courses over time with each file being its own page, where you improve efficiency here. When you can take one template and update XML in one place, you're able to more quickly not just develop the content, but update, manage, and deliver it. Reduce complexity of your deliverables and of your development process. By standardizing the process, everybody gets used to building things the same way, and it becomes repetitive and actually second nature for your developers over time. And it allows a lower bar for people to develop. People that might not usually be able to develop content are able to go ahead and update an XML document to fix a text change instead of paying whatever the rate is for the developer to fix it. The simplified deliveries come from having less product files to deliver to the client. Instead of having hundreds of files, hopefully you can cut this down to just an images folder, your XML, and your template engine. Nice and clean, simple, and to update, you're only going to be updating the XML or the specific images. Future compatibility I touched on a bit here before, but is something that's really key right now as the first generation of e-learning content is kind of dying out and fading. What this allows is, by separating that content from the presentation in the future with new technologies, they just need to parse this content just like the current engines do, which means that those courses will live on over time and don't need to be redeveloped or even just updated to the newest technologies, which can be very costly over time. So how do you actually achieve what I'm talking about here? And I'm not going to get into specifics about parsing engines or any heavy tech geek stuff here. This is top level, nice and easy to follow, okay? So what you do, as I've stated several times, and I hope to drill this home with y'all, is you're dividing your presentation from your content. All of your learning material, all of the material that you're trying to communicate should reside outside of the presentation layer. The presentation is handled by an engine. As I've stated, that can be HTML, Flash, Java, iOS, whatever you choose. And what this allows is you're provided with a catalog of templates, not just from the project that you're working on currently, but from previous projects. The e-learning content that I built last month that has the multiple choice questions is able to immediately be used by the next project, which needs maybe a slightly updated multiple choice with multiple choice, multiple selection. You just add on to that class and you've got new technology. One of the keys here is that you want to make sure that you're using an open format, not a proprietary format, not an MS Access or a specific SQL database. The idea is that as those technologies die, your content would die with it. That's why we're currently using something like XML. Or any open SQL database will work just as well. But the idea is to make sure that the content does not become dated over time. So, inside the presentation layer that I've been speaking about, there's really actually 3 separate layers. And the concept behind this is that it allows you to have an adaptive design, a design that can be changed from project to project. You could have one solid skin and get rid of the first layer, but we allow for easy update of this background layer to change the look and feel of the product. So we start with the background layer. Second, we have the shell or GUI layer. This would be things along the lines of constant interactive buttons, your next buttons, your back buttons, indexes, print buttons, things that remain on the screen at all times and are not content specific, but your controls for that content. So the third layer would be the content layer, and that's where you're going to have all that you're trying to communicate, whether it's marketing, whether it's e-learning, whatever you're looking to do, that's where that content's going to lie. So the background layer, as I stated, that's all non-interactive, GUI, graphics, logos, and would be something similar to this. It would just give you your basic look and feel, and if you picture it basically on 3 layers, that would be your bottom layer with 2 transparent layers over top that you can see down through. So as you're seeing your training, this is what's going to be there at all times and is completely non-interactive. By laying that in, you're able to update the look and feel of your project without having to stick to a specific skin. So every project, every client can have their own look and feel as they request. Now on top of that, and it's not that easy to see, I didn't pick a great example here, you have the second layer, the GUI layer, where your buttons, next, back, reload, as well as your indexes and glossaries or whatever other tools that you have available at all times are available over top. And if you picture this as a transparency over top of the last image, you have the GUI layer. And then the content layers. This is all of your page titles. This is your text content. This is your images. Everything that is specific to this specific project outside of the interaction of the GUI. And that would be something along these lines, where you have your text for the content over here and an image associated with it. And when you bring that together with the content layer, which is the XML layer that we've been talking about, those templates, the GUI parses what we're talking about in here, and that's your preferences in your page content. So the content XML preferences include whatever you want to be able to control within your content. Course titles, is it course scoring, SCORM, true or false. Is the course linear? Is it branching? Is the course a pass-fail course? These are lots of things that are tied and pretty specific to LMSs. And these are only used when using this type of presentation for e-learning. You can also update it for media, for checking who's visited sites, for many different purposes. But since we're concentrating on e-learning, we're talking about these items here. As well as adding formatting for things like fonts, because one of the tricky things with delivering content over the internet, as I'm sure any developers are aware, is getting not just the graphical look and feel, but that text look and feel. And fonts can be one of the trickiest pieces. Being able to set up your CSS or to embed fonts from the XML content layer allows you to keep that formatting for the course in a place outside of the presentation layer. So if I want to update the textual look and feel from, say, an Arial to a Verdana, all I do is change one word in the XML instead of going in and changing it in hundreds of files across the board or in any images and content. By keeping that layer separate, you're able to then make very fast updates, something that could take several days in another environment. This is just the content section of the XML. So the preferences section was setting up all of those graphical look and feel items. That's the first part of the XML document. In the second main chunk, you have all of your content. And it's the way I've seen it done most times, and I think the most effective way to do it is to divide each node up into a page and have the specific aspects of that page, whether it's linear, what ID it is, whether it's graded, a lot of these specific details for a specific page in that page node, as well as all of the content, the images associated to it, the animations, videos, whether it's replayable, whether it's a one-time play, or whether they can come back to it at will. This is a pretty simple example of just a page. And this is what it would look like in a, in a simple content XML. I've been able to show, just about anyone how to update these pretty quickly and easily. But it allows you, instead of going into specific course files, yes, Trish was able to update the kiosk for some new content through just by going in and searching for the specific page and then updating the text to it. Your background layer, your interactive layer, and your content layer. When all come together, using a simple system like this, it's easy to save up to 80% of your time on development. That's what I've tracked with the courses I've been working, except for one unfortunate recent one. And why do we want to do this? We want to be able to build once, deploy everywhere. That's key in these days with people wanting their content to be distributed through mobile, through tablets, through phones, and over the web. You need to be able to just build it once and deploy it in many places all at once. Or you're going to be paying through the roof, and I don't, this economy doesn't really allow for that. We ensure that the content will live long after the presentation layer does. Flash is going to die. And as much as everybody loves HTML5, it'll be dead in 3 years too, and it'll be something that's coming after it. By separating our content from that layer, we ensure that it's going to live past the next 3 years, so we're not redeveloping like we are right now with the first rounds of e-learning 5, 10 years from now. It will last as far into the future as the content layer does. XML, I don't see that going away anytime soon. So, that's what I've been working on recently in e-learning, and I'd like to hear if anyone has any questions or desire for discussion.